A short hike through a dense green tropical jungle, and you will find yourself staring at an impressive waterfall. Located just north of Hilo and dropping an impressive 442 feet is one of the Big Island's most popular waterfalls, Akaka Falls. Welcome to the Savvy Sightseer, the channel that helps you travel savvy. The Akaka Falls State Park is about 25 minutes north of Hilo and easily accessible. The drive to the park is a sight of its own, with stunning tropical vegetation lining the roadways and streams flowing beneath you as you drive over bridges. You know you have entered a very different side of the Big Island. Once you arrive at Akaka Falls, there is very limited parking. It is recommended to get to the park early to avoid large crowds. The park is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., so as soon as you can get there as close to that 8 a.m. mark, the better off you're going to be. When we went, we got there around 2:30 p.m. and the whole area was filled with tourists trying to find spots, and a huge tour company was just pulling in with several large vans. The parking lot was completely full and cars were circling trying to find a spot. We got really lucky and a car pulled out along the street, so we took that spot. If you aren't there early in the morning and the parking lots are full, take the first spot you can get, even if it's on the street kind of above the parking lot. That's where we parked. There is a fee to get into the park and also for parking. Hawaii State Parks recommend that you purchase your parking pass and entrance fee beforehand, as there's very limited cell service once you get in there. You can do that by using the QR code on the State Parks website, which I have linked below. There's also a kiosk on site to pay, which is what we used. There was a long line when we were there to do this, so I definitely recommend using the QR code and paying beforehand so you aren't wasting valuable time waiting in line. If you haven't already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and click the notifications. That way you can get all my savvy travel tips and help make this the go-to channel for savvy travel. Once you are ready to start the hike, you will descend into the most lush, jungle-like vegetation you have ever seen. It's important to note that when the trail begins, there is a descent that isn't super steep, but it's definitely not level either. Because you make your way down, remember you will have to make your way back up. There are several areas on the way there and back that you will be climbing in elevation or descending. There are also several sets of stairs going up and down. So if you struggle with these sorts of hikes, be aware. My kids were able to handle it easily, but I saw some younger kids getting a little grumpy, and we also saw some older adults from a tour company we had seen earlier needing to take very frequent breaks, especially on that last little bit of the trail back to the entrance when you're climbing some stairs. After starting on the trail and working your way down a bit, you can choose to go left or right. The trail itself is a loop, so it doesn't matter which way you choose. We decided to head with the flow of traffic and veer more to our right. Because people can go either direction, this can create somewhat of a traffic jam at different points along the trail. The hike itself is a self-guided hike, and you can take it at your own pace. The trail is a well-maintained paved path, but can be very narrow in parts. Because it's narrow, and this is a very popular tourist site, you will find that as you're walking, you will quickly find people on your heels, which will make you feel like you need to pick up your pace. This can get a bit frustrating if you're really trying to take it all in. So again, it's worth your while to get there as early as possible and miss the crowds so you can enjoy it at a leisurely pace. Once on the hike, you will find yourself immersed in some of the most tropical jungle-like vegetation you will ever experience. I have been on several other hikes around all the different Hawaiian islands, and none have compared to this one. From larger-than-life ferns to bamboo towering all around, forming these natural tunnels, and streams flowing on your left and right, and banana trees with bunches of bananas hanging from them, it all feels very surreal. The sheer beauty of this tropical paradise you find yourself in while hiking would have been enough for me. I wouldn't have even needed to see the waterfall to feel I had gotten my money's worth. But the best is yet to come. After meandering through this jungle, you will eventually round a corner and start descending to find yourself at the main destination, Akaka Falls. If it looks familiar, it might be because this waterfall was actually featured in Jurassic Park. The whole time we were walking through the jungle-like terrain, I kept telling my family, I feel like we're in Jurassic Park. It wasn't until after we got home that I realized we kind of were. Akaka Falls is a free-falling 442 feet waterfall. This part of the path is obviously extremely busy with everyone trying to stop and see the waterfall and of course take as many pictures as possible. Luckily, it opens up a bit here and allows for people to stop and do this, but it still can get quite crowded, so you're going to want to be prepared to take your pictures and then keep on going. The waterfall itself is very impressive. Coming from Oregon, we have Multnomah Falls, which tends to make many Hawaiian waterfalls not feel as big or impressive. I remember seeing Wailua Falls, one of the most popular waterfalls in Kauai, for the first time and thinking, this is it? But seeing Akaka Falls, it impressed me. The waterfall sits across from you at the viewing point, and you can see it plummet into a deep pool of water below. It's hard to get the full scope of just how big this waterfall is just by looking at it. Like I mentioned above, the trail is a loop. So once you're done viewing the waterfall, you keep going on the trail, and it will eventually take you back to the trailhead and parking lot. Again, be prepared for the steep ascent up right at the end of the trail. Overall, the loop is only about 0.4 miles and can take as short a time as 20 minutes if you're moving at a pretty quick pace. And it can take much longer if you take your time and enjoy it all. We took only about 30 minutes, but it did feel like we were rushing through it a bit just because it was so crowded and so many people were right behind us, making us feel like we had to just keep going and not really stop and enjoy it as much. When going on this hike, we had excellent weather. It was warm and dry, so we made sure to have plenty of water to drink. The waterfall is on the rainy side of the island, and this area experiences rain quite often. So bringing a rain jacket is also a really good idea if you plan to visit Akaka Falls. After the hike, we got back in our car and headed out of the park. Towards the bottom of the road, we saw a stand and a bunch of cars parked there. It was called Mana's Aloha Fruit Stand. They were serving fresh pineapple and coconuts. We figured, when in Rome, so we stopped and checked it out. Most people were buying both the fresh cut pineapple and the fresh coconut, so we did too. The kids really wanted to try the coconut water from a fresh coconut, and they were not a fan. Neither was I, but we all love the pineapple. If you find yourself on the Big Island and are visiting the Hilo side of the island, whether it's just for the day or for many days, a stop at Akaka Falls is one you will want to make sure to add to your itinerary. Thank you for joining me and letting me share the best way to travel savvy when visiting Akaka Falls on the Big Island. Make sure to check out my website, thesavvysightseer.com, to find more tips to travel savvy, not only to the Big Island, but to many other destinations.